and welcome. You're watching Beat Diabetes Myths and Facts. The coronavirus pandemic has affected our lives, our economy, our health, and nearly every aspect of our lives around the globe. The rapid spread of new variants now offers clues as to how SARS-CoV-2 is adapting and how the pandemic will play out in the next several months. The WHO said the highly mutated Omicron variant of COVID-19 could change the course of the pandemic, and due to the lockdown and work from home measures, people's culture has changed. People's lifestyles have been disrupted. Many people have in fact become physically inactive and developed irregular eating patterns, which is leading to unhealthier lifestyles and the worsening of lifestyle-related diseases. A multi-sectoral approach promoting healthier diets and increasing physical activity can help in slowing down the diabetes epidemic and heart diseases. Beat Diabetes Myths and Facts will impact and help a large number of people to prevent or control metabolic disorders. Today we have with us a panel of experts who will share their advice on how you can lead a healthier life. Dr. Arvind Kaul, Director Interventional Cardiology from the Paras Hospital, Panchkula. Dr. Nityanand Tripathi, who is Director and Unit Head of Cardiology and Electrophysiology, Fortis Hospitals, New Delhi. Dr. Shiba Chhabra, who is also Professor Dayanand Medical College and Hospital, Ludhiana, are joining us. Thank you all very much, doctors, for being with us. Dr. Kaul, if I can begin by asking you, how many strains of COVID are there? And is the new COVID-19 variant, Omicron, worse than the Delta variant?
Basically, being a virus, this COVID mutates very fast. It just keeps on changing every day. But what basically we are concerned are the variants which affect us, which are going to cause disease among us. So WHO has basically has designated what is called variants of concern. So they have put a nomenclature of alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and lately this Omicron thing. There are many other variants also. But these are the ones which have been responsible for causing the disease among the people lately. It has been very early stage as far as we know about this. But the early reports are basically the transmission probably is much more. It is affecting people who have been earlier affected by other variants. It is affecting people who are immunized. But probably the disease severity is somewhat lesser. We still don't know the final thing. We'll have to see how the things evolve.
Right. Dr. Tripathi, what are some of the symptoms of the Omicron variant of COVID-19, and do people with heart diseases also experience similar or more aggravated symptoms?
Actually, the COVID Omicron variant has mild symptoms, and the symptoms constitutes of a little bit fever, sore throat, myalgia, and weakness. The patients with the heart disease have been affected by this Omicron, but the good part is that the heart does not get affected, and we don't have the report that any patients having myocarditis or any involvement of the heart who are infected with the Omicron. But if I talk about the patients who are already have a heart disease and affected by this new variant, they do get the similar similar symptoms as it is in the other persons, but process might be a little bit severe, but no death has been reported till now.
Right. Dr. Chhabra, which organs of the body get severely affected by this new variant, and what are some of the special precautions that people with heart diseases especially should be taking at this time?
So Omicron is actually involving probably the same organs as COVID was. We are not really very sure that which is the particular organ which is affected by this variant. But like a COVID in its severe form, it can involve the lungs of the body, and severe respiratory distress, if it occurs, can be detrimental to the health of the patient. At the same time, we need to be very careful in cardiac patients. The precautions are no different. The basic precautions remain the same. We should avoid being in a gathering which is closed. We should be sanitizing our hands, cleaning our hands. We should be wearing our masks. The utmost thing is that the mask should be proper fitting. We warn in most of the circumstances to prevent the spread of this virus.
Dr. Kaul, what is the link between cholesterol and heart disease? If the body makes its own cholesterol, then why does the diet in a certain sense matter?
Basically, cholesterol is synthesized in the body and it is sufficient for body requirements. Diet, what disease basically is associated is with the circulating levels of cholesterol and a component of total cholesterol which is called the LDL. And there is a linear relationship. As the blood cholesterol level or LDL level increase by 1%, the risk of disease increases by 2%. So blood levels are associated with dietary intake also, though there is no very strict association with individual food items, because as you know, food intakes, type of food intake can vary from day to day, from people to people. So there is no linear relationship of blood levels with diet. But as you control diet, as you reduce the cholesterol intake in diet, the blood level of LDL and total cholesterol do decrease, and that overall helps in the outcomes as far as heart disease is concerned.
That's important information for heart patients. Dr. Tripathi, speaking of cholesterol, high blood cholesterol is, a risk factor when it comes to heart diseases. It's an important factor that needs to be considered. If a person's cholesterol is less than 200 mg, should that person worry about heart disease?
Actually, heart diseases are multifactorial diseases. The cholesterol does matter, but it is one part of that whole gamut of the risk factors. It's a diabetes, smoking, family history, and many more things are affecting altogether. So if we talk about the cholesterol level, whether 200 milligram percent of the cholesterol should worry us or not, it depends whether a patient has propensity for the heart disease or not. Meaning thereby, if patient do not have major risk factors like diabetes, mellitus, hypertension, or he is not a smoker and there is no family history, total cholesterol of 200 milligram percent or LDL of 160 milligram percent doesn't require any medication, but rather a lifestyle modification. But simultaneously, if a patient has already had a heart problem like heart attack or coronary artery disease or peripheral vascular disease or for that matter stroke or CVA, or patient is diabetic, then in that case we want to reduce the LDL cholesterol, that is bad cholesterol, below 55 now. Initially we thought it should be below 70, but now we think that it should be below 55 milligram percent.
All right. Also, Dr. Chhabra, cholesterol lowering drugs, they can lower the risk of a heart attack. But after you've had a heart attack, is it too late to benefit from drugs that are used to lower cholesterol levels?
Yes, cholesterol lowering drugs, indeed we know they are very important to prevent heart attacks in patients. But it is not true that we can discontinue or we do not need to give them after the heart attack. It's important to continue these drugs because they are believed to have several pleiotropic effects. By pleiotropic effects, we mean that it's not just a reduction in the number of cholesterol or LDL or bad cholesterol that we are looking at. We are also looking at several positive effects that these drugs like statins, they can actually have on the endothelium of the vessels. They will also stabilize the plaques and the lesions in the coronary arteries. They will make the plaques and the lesions more stable. The plaques will become less vulnerable. A vulnerable plaque is the basic pathophysiology or the basic reason which can rupture, and a plaque rupture can cause heart attacks in patients. So if we are continuing with statins in a patient who has had a heart attack, even when the patient has undergone a bypass surgery or a coronary artery stenting, these drugs will have pleiotropic effects. They will stabilize the plaques which are pre-existent, they will prevent the formation of new plaques. So these drugs have to be continued even heart attack has occurred even after that. So these drugs are of utmost importance.
All right, with that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but our panel of experts will be live with us on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Dr. Kaul, if I can come to you at the moment, if a person doesn't smoke and his or her cholesterol is within the normal limits, what impact does family history then have on the risk of getting a heart attack?
See, basically, family history is a very strong risk factor, particularly if you say in any male less than 45 years of age, any female in your family less than 55 years of age, your direct relations, if heart attack or heart disease has happened, the risk in the individual is very high. So, it is not why this happens. One is genetic factors. Of course, you can have genes which predispose you to disease, or genes which predispose you to other risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. So, to sedentary lifestyle, to obesity. So, you have multiple genetic factors which can predispose you to heart disease. Secondly, it is the environmental factors. Families, you have similar food habits, you have similar sedentary or active lifestyle. So that makes family history a very strong risk factor. What to do about it? Well, till recently, it was not a very prominent area of intervention. But lately it has been seen that if you control other risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, regular physical exercise, very healthy diet, then actually you can significantly reduce the risk of heart disease even if you have a strong family history.
Right. Dr. Tripathi, many people actually wonder about this question. Does a heart failure mean immediate death? Can a heart failure actually occur without you feeling any symptoms or knowing about it?
Yeah, that's a myth that's most commonly prevalent in our society, that heart failure means person's heart fails and he died immediately. In fact, what heart failure means is heart is not able to pump the blood as required by the body. That means heart is failing in its duty to supply the blood to the body as body needs it, as much as body needs it. The heart failure symptoms contains shortness of breath, there is swelling in the body, swelling in the legs, and then there can be when patient sleeps in the night, he has to get up 2 to 3 hours after and he has to catch up the breath. And there is a EG fatigability, that means patient becomes easily tired when he does any work. That when one should suspect that there is something which is going on and should contact the doctor. When a person is working or doing his regular work, which he used to do previously, and he is not able to do it now, and he gets shortness of breath or gets easily tired. These are the conditions when he should contact the doctor as soon as possible. Likewise, when there is a swelling in the feet or swelling on the body, he should contact the doctor as well.
Right. Dr. Chhabra, can a heart failure occur in younger people as well? And what is really the consequence of not availing timely treatment for heart failure?
Yes, this is true. Heart failure can actually occur in young patients. the cause for this can be some, nutritional deficiencies. We also know that younger patients nowadays, they are suffering from massive heart attacks that can also make their heart weak and they can have heart failure. And at times, it's very difficult to explain the cause. It can be genetic or it can be some other conditions, some storage disorders. So heart failure can occur in younger patients. It's an important question that you've asked. You've said that whether it's important that they need to get their treatment in time. Yes, this is very true. The treatment should be administered well in time, and the actions, the necessary steps should be taken, because if it is not done, then the heart will continue to become weaker and weaker, and more complications of heart failure can occur. So rather we should aim to start some drugs, which are known to remodel the heart, which can work on heart in a way that the heart failure progression is at least halted, if not regressed. So there are several drugs which are available, which can be given to these younger patients, which can help in improvement of ejection fractions of the patient, which help in improvement of the remodeling of the heart which is occurring, and which also help in symptom reduction. It's very imperative that we do it and that young patients realize that they do it, because the future life is very productive in young patients, and we need to have healthier hearts and a healthier society for sure.
Dr. Kaul, if I can come back to you, what are some of the pre-existing conditions that may increase the risk of heart failure?
See, basically, heart failure actually is what we call an end-stage heart disease. It is terminal ending part of a natural disease. Any other disease can lead on to heart failure. For example, any patient who has, say, what we call a heart attack. Heart attack means a portion of heart becomes dead and it stops contracting, it stops pumping the blood. Likewise, if this area is big and it affects the rest of the heart also over long time, heart failure can happen. Similarly, if there are multiple blockages, the blood supply to heart is restricted, that can cause a heart failure. There are any valve disease which persists longer, it causes changes in the heart leading on to heart failure. Plus blood pressure, uncontrolled diabetes, all these things affect the heart over long term and lead to a stage which is called heart failure, which is the sum total end result of anything. Any disease can lead on to heart failure. Congenital heart diseases, they can ultimately lead on to heart failure. There are multiple other diseases affecting the muscles and money poisoning. Alcohol is very common. Alcohol can cause heart failure. So thyroid disease can cause heart failure. It is basically the end result of any disease which affects the heart.
Right. And can, Dr. Tripathi, heart failure be cured? For how many years does a person survive typically after the CHF?
Heart failure, curing of the heart failure, some of the conditions that are associated with like normalization of the heart. See, if a person have heart failure because of the myocarditis or because of any infection involving the heart, sometimes if a person is in severe stress, the heart gets weak, and then it recovers again when the stress goes off. There are the medicines like what we call as ARNI, and there are medicines like beta blockers and other medicines which leads to improvement in the heart function, and sometimes patients' conditions becomes completely normalized. Some of the diseases, like if the patient is suffering from the coronary artery disease and there is no permanent damage that has happened, and if we revascularize, then it can become normal. Some of the diseases cannot be reversed, but they can certainly improve over a period of time. Regarding the years of life are strongly related to ejection fraction. So ejection fraction is determined by the echocardiography, and it is fraction of the blood which is getting pumped out into the body of the person from the heart. And the longevity is very strongly related to the ejection fraction.
Dr. Chawda, final question to you. What surgical options are there for a heart failure patient?
Yes, some kind of surgeries are available for patients of heart failure. So, if a patient of heart failure is having blocked arteries, and we know that 3 arteries are blocked, or it is a triple vessel disease, they can get benefit of bypass surgery, which can help in improving their left ventricular functions and heart failure. At times, they have left ventricular dysfunction also. So, surgeries like repair of the aneurysms of the heart, ventriculoplasties can be done in patients of heart failure. Also, these patients, they can get benefits of some kinds of pacemakers in some particular patients of heart failure, like CRT-D or CRT-P pacemakers, which are biventricular pacemakers, which are available for these patients. Also, these patients nowadays, in a big way, left ventricular assist devices are upcoming, which support the left ventricle of a failing heart. So these left ventricular assist devices can be put, and also cardiac transplant is coming up in a big way for these patients, and it's last but not the least, and can add many years and productive years to the life of a patient.
All right, well, that's all the time we have on the show. Thank you, doctors, very much for joining us.